I keep forgetting that we're doing video. And then I watch these video clips back and I laugh at them because they're funny. But then my vanity kicks in and I'm like, bro, fucking clean yourself up for these videos.
Who are you trying to look? You know what? That's because you a single man, bro. Let me get this mic closer.
I can't be talking
it's because you're a single man.
Brian Baumgartner and looking like shit.
No, it's because you want the freaking ladies to be like, yo, you see how handsome Zach was this week?
It's not really about ladies. It's just about like my own, we just did 9,000 of these episodes with no one looking. Now I'm like, look at my fit.
I like my fit.
And I watch all these podcasters, I told you, that have like the great lighting and everything. I want better lighting. Dan,
all right, so look, if you want to do that, then we got hold up. We got to step up. We'd have to step up to another level, and that means going into a studio.
No, we're not doing that. Okay. I'm just saying I feel like Daniel, with his connections, I mean, I have connections too, but I'd rather use iHeart's money, could send someone over who would do a better lighting setup than I have. Maybe I get a drop. No one needs to look at my fucking dirty-ass couch. I could get a nice little drop.
Brody, your background is always fire. You need to shut the fuck up.
The color temperature?
It's enough. Listen to this. Your sweatshirt matches the background, matches the outside. So please, stop with the bullshit.
Can I just say one more thing?
Since I've known you,
go ahead.
This is ridiculous.
Go ahead.
Your wallpaper is fly. And you sit here and you complain about how bad, the backdrop is bad. I don't like the way I look. You're a handsome fucking dude. Heather Graham on this podcast. I need to remind everybody?
No, you can remind me.
Said to you.
Yeah.
Zach, come on. You know you're a good looking guy, don't you?
Yes, you did. I need that for the sound machine, Daniel.
Oh, yeah. I pulled it for you.
I just think that the color temperature's a bit off. See, I could warm my skin up a little, Daniel, with some. Yeah. I could just change the Kelvin on the lamps.
Temperature on the lamp?
Yeah. You are Vanity Smurf, bro. If we were the Smurfs, you would
Wasn't
be Vanity
Smurf very effeminate? I don't think that would fly these days.
Mm-hmm.
Vanity and effeminate?
Was his name Vanity Smurf?
Yeah, and he just liked to look in the mirror all the time.
Yeah, but he was also very effeminate, I believe.
Was he gay-coded?
Joelle, do you recall?
I did not watch the Smurfs.
Oh, it's before your time. Daniel, can you look up, was Vanity Smurf effeminate and gay-coded, as my queer friend said?
You could say that because Vanity Smurf wore a flower in their hat, a pink flower, which I think
he did.
Oh, you used used they them for Vanity Smurf, Daniel.
I don't know how the Smurfs identify.
Well,
there's a Papa and then there's a Smurfette.
Smurfette was created by Gargamel, so we don't know if Smurfette was like officially.
Well, later on there were kid Smurfs that were girls.
I assume that Papa Smurf and what's her name, Girly Smurf?
Smurfette.
I assume that they fucked and made all the Smurfs. That's not what happened?
No. The Smurfs existed before Smurfette. Gargamel was trying to infiltrate the Smurf village.
Right.
And he created Smurfette.
Correct.
And she used to have black hair and she was talk like this and was like, hi everybody. And
don't do that anymore.
when she transformed into Smurfette, it was because she experienced the love and what it meant to be a Smurf. Oh. And Gargamel no longer had an ally in this Smurf that he created.
Oh, I never knew that lore. I missed all that.
Yeah.
Wasn't anyone trying to smash
It's
Smurfette?
A pretty interesting episode. Everybody was trying to smash
Everyone
Smurfette.
took their shot. Everyone shot their shot.
Manly Smurf. Was that his name? Who was the one with the freaking hammer? Was it Manly Smurf? What was his name? Handy Smurf. He was the one that it seemed like was getting it.
I used to collect those little figurines. Did you, Donald?
No, I did not.
We're of a certain age where you would collect the figurines for all the Smurfs.
Look, I loved.
I'm gonna have to go on eBay and get me some Smurfs.
Listen to this. I loved me some Smurfs.
Yeah.
And I loved the lore, especially when Johan and Pee Wee joined the fray. But no, thank you.
I don't know what any of that means.
You don't know who Johan and Pee Wee are?
Can you not yell? I was overserved a smidgen last night, and I need you to bring down your volume. Okay.
I was too. I worked out this morning. Did you?
No, because I was overserved last night by myself. I barely drink anymore, so when I have too many glasses of wine, it hurts. Hashtag 49.
Been there. Hashtag 35.
Well, when you stop drinking for the most part, then your tolerance is nothing. So then when you have a handful of glasses of wine, you wake up like, ouch, why?
You know, I had my annual, and this was a topic.
Your physical?
Yeah. And I was sweating it hard, but the physical came back so good that I'm like, I think he's lying to me, babe. There's no way. There's no fucking way.
That's called a very neurotic person who gets their gets their physical results and is like, he's lying.
He's definitely lying. There's no way. But anyway,
why would he want to lie?
I don't think he's lying, but just that I was shocked. Anyway, the conversation was, what were we just talking about? Sorry,
the Smurfs and then your physical.
No, but we were talking about
dying
something.
to know how they tie together. Oh, drinking, being overserved.
Right. I said to him, I think my kidneys are really, they're done. Because when I drink, my back hurts. And he goes, that's dehydration, dude. And I go, no, I don't think you understand. When I drink and I wake up the next morning, like I have a real back pain. Like it's like fucking back pain. He's like, yeah, that's dehydration, bud.
Well,
I felt really stupid at that point because I had diagnosed myself with like
you always diagnose yourself.
I know,
with
it's
shit,
ridiculous.
Dude. You told me in Vegas, you're like, oh, I got bad kidneys.
I like that you made me sound like Harrison Ford too, though. Oh, I got bad kidneys.
Yo, I know Donald didn't watch it, but Shrinking season 2 is live. And not only that, this morning they dropped the fucking secret knowledge that I already knew. Shrinking season 3 picked up.
Awesome. Wow. This is amazing.
But show's on fire. It's so good.
Amazing.
Wow.
So watch it, everybody. It's a really good show.
It was nice to see Krista out and about promoting her show.
Yeah, Krista's so good on the show, and she's doing all sorts of good promotion. She's talking
shit now too. Yeah, I know. She's talking shit now too. Look at this. All these people talking shit.
What are you talking about?
She was on Watch What Happens Live talking about, I think there's going to be a Scrubs reboot. I'm pretty sure of it.
Well, I said to her, I was being interviewed about the Garden State charity concert benefit we're doing. The reporter goes, what is the deal with the Scrubs reboot? And I go, the thing is that Bill is promoting so many things, and each time he gets on a press line, he ratchets it up more. He's left himself nowhere else to go.
It has to happen now. It kind of has to happen now, man. He talks so much shit. And now Krista's jumping in there and she's talking shit. Like, I'm just saying, man, like, here we go.
I think everyone who's a Scrubs fan, and this is obviously a Scrubs Rewatch podcast, should start being confident and titillated that something's going to happen. I'm titillated.
I'm titillated too. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Yeah.
I am totally titillated.
Yeah, you are. I can tell.
I can tell you are too.
You look good.
I was listen, man. I was looking at you.
Now.
I was looking at you, and I was like, yo, he's talking about how bad he looks.
I don't know
he's
what
looking kind of good.
Listen,
man.
this Riverside has you come through pixelated. I like it better.
I like you pixelated too, bro.
Joel, I think we need to leave the call.
Yeah, y'all need to get the fuck out of here. Let us flirt.
Yeah, my feelings are flying.
Joel, you look good too. Hold up, Dano.
Whoa.
It could be a foursome. I need to give shout outs real quick. Yo, shout out Sideshow Collectibles, Andy, Sideshow. Oh my God, you came through big time, yo. I went and did a tour at Sideshow and I got to see all of the secret stuff, things that a lot of you people out there don't get to see, all you collectors out there. I saw old stuff. I was like,
Ray,
I have some of
Let me
Donald,
just
tell
explain
people
to
what
people.
Sideshow is.
Yeah. Not everyone knows what Sideshow Collectibles is, Donald. You're speaking to a very niche group.
Sideshow Collectibles is a toy company that started, I don't know, maybe I'm going to say 30 years ago. And it started really small. And what it is people who care about the way toys look. So the face molds and the hands and the clothing, it's all top notch. And the poses that you can do with these toys. They don't only have Star Wars, but they have Marvel, they have DC, they have monsters. Like they're doing a spooktacular event right now. Anyway, I got to go and check out all of their stuff. And you know how huge of a Star Wars fan I am. And Andy over at Sideshow was saying, yo, come through. And I would put it off because I knew if I went there, I'd just be jealous of all of the toys. Let me tell you something. It's the best museum I've ever walked into in my life. It had everything that I ever wanted to see in a toy version. It was there. I can't give a lot of stuff away because they made me sign an NDA, but there's so many really cool things coming out from Sideshow. And if you're a toy collector like I am, get your wallets ready.
Okay. That's one of your shouts. You said you had multiple shouts. So there another shout out.
There is another shout out.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Don't worry, audience. We'll cut all this out. Go ahead. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Don't give me that fucking cold stare.
I don't want to do it.
Do you remember when Sarah would, when we were shooting Scrubs and they'd be like, all right, going in tighter for a close-up on Sarah? And I'd be like, well, never use it. Here we go. Never use it. Here we go. She loved that joke.
I want to shout out all of these collaborators on my stop motion animation stuff. It's really starting to come along right now.
Yeah, that new video you sent, what was that level up? Something got leveled up. That slide?
What do you mean?
You just sent me in the group chat, you sent a video today and something looked leveled up. What was that?
So it's lit. I want to shout out Elder Son.
Oh, someone helped you come learn to light.
And he came to the house and he helped me light the set. I want to shout out, this is all a process and I'm now beginning filming something that I had planned to film, that I've been planning to film for a very long time. And I'm doing it myself with the help of Justin Rosh over at Stunt Puppet Pictures. He's my mentor. And also with Stupid Buddy Studios, who have been really supportive of me. And Aardman, believe it or not, who have been really supportive of me. And it's just really awesome. So I want to shout out the whole stop motion community.
That's a lot of shout outs. We're getting so many shout outs.
I'm just very appreciative. You know what I mean? You get a physical, you turn 50. There's a lot of things you can't take it for granted. Now, granted, I paid a pretty penny for a lot of it, for all of it. But, with that came a lot of support. And I
when are you going to switch over to the puppets that I bought you and stop using that one?
So Julian Clark, who is making the puppets, he's almost finished.
Yeah, with the mouths you needed. You said you needed special mouths. Well,
not only did he make
Is it because I have big lips, you needed special lips?
Well, I want your kisses to be
I do have big lips
to me.
Yes. I think the audience would like it if you made JD and Turk Puppet eagling each other.
That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe we'll show up in this project too.
When I was building your puppet or ordering your puppet, I didn't know whether to add the mole or not. I didn't know how you'd feel if the puppet should have a mole or not.
I think it should.
Well, you're going to have to add it with a Sharpie because
I know, because you didn't.
I didn't do it.
Yeah, you were scared.
I sat there and I thought, I pontificated, will he want the mole on the puppet or not?
For sure.
So I think you could just take a little thin Sharpie and give it a little doot.
You might be right.
It won't be 3D. Joelle, how are you? You're looking pensive. What's going on in your life?
Oh, I was telling Daniel before you guys got on, in addition to working many hours on a computer and phone, my hobby lately has been playing The Sims. And the other day I played it for many hours at night without the lights on, and I strained my eye pretty badly for the past 5 days of
Joelle.
So you have
up with a bad headache.
Injury.
I do. I can't.
This is a rare injury, people. You don't hear about this injury.
Hey, this is, there isn't enough attention paid to Sims 4 injuries.
We need to really put a light on this right now.
I would like to do another charity benefit for people who suffer from Sims 4 injuries. Joelle, did you take my advice? Did you take my advice and get a hot tub and put it in the living room?
Yeah, I did. It was cool. I should actually, one day I'll upload some of my builds. I have an entire house that's in a pool, essentially. So like the dining table is set in the pool and there's a hot tub in there. I don't know if it's in the living room. I guess you
maybe that's what I'll do today. I'll start. Well, all I know is the one thing I remember is that the hot tub really solved a lot of problems because you get your rest, you get your bathing, you get your friends coming over.
You know who else really appreciated a hot tub? Remember that show Blind Date? They appreciated a hot tub on that show. Blind Date.
Blind Date?
Roger Lodge hosted it, and it was about, you'd go on a blind date with someone, and sometimes you'd get to go to like a hot tub resort.
Oh, yeah. Was this the one where your friends were in the van?
Wait, what do you mean? No, your friends aren't watching the date. You're on the date on your own, I think.
Wasn't there
Rogers in the van or something?
Wasn't there a show back in the day where like your friends were in the van watching, or no, maybe it was the other people were watching. I don't remember.
No, I think I know what you're talking about. It was like,
and maybe
the date and 3 of your friends are in the van, like watching it happen. It was like Room Raiders. Room Raiders.
Room Raiders. I remember that one too.
A classic.
That was the disgustingest show ever. The girl gets. Yeah, that's how I said it. Okay. The girl would get to go into the boy's room with a fucking black light.
Oh,
Oh my God, it's so gross.
Sheesh.
and that was like the premise of the show. They'd have a great date, and then she'd be like, "Now let me check out his room to see if he wank
but it's obviously
wanks it."
so staged. I mean, like,
Yes.
No, there was a lot of wanking going on that show, boy. Like, it was just all over the place. In every episode, it was like, not him too. Oh!
what do they expect? I mean, everyone's doing that.
They would have the guy going with the black light, and the girl's room would be nothing.
I want to recommend a movie to everybody. Sorry, can I change topics
ahead.
off of
Yeah,
finding semen with a black light?
Ew.
Strange Darling. You guys heard of this movie?
No.
Strange Darlings or Darling? Let me check. Strange Darling. I highly recommend to you. A friend of mine said watch this, and it's incredible. It's very violent. I want to warn anyone who's averse to that. But really, really good screenplay and interestingly, fascinatingly shot by Giovanni Ribisi, who is getting into cinematography. I knew that Giovanni Ribisi was getting into cinematography. I had heard that. We have some mutual friends, and I know him a little bit. But I'm watching this movie, and not only is it so good, it's an indie, and it's very contained, but it's so well acted. I'm thinking to myself, wow, this is so well shot. And then the credits come up, and it's like shot by Giovanni Ribisi.
How do you like that?
It made me think
that?
It made me think of you, Donald. How like an actor takes on an art form that's not the thing they're known for, and like gets really good at it, and like what you're doing in the animation. And Giovanni, who's like such an incredible actor, gets so into cinematography that he shot this fucking incredibly beautiful movie.
He found a way to make it go pro, yo. That's an amazing feat, man. Congratulations to him, man. Well done.
Yeah. So check out the movie. Again, it has humor in it, but it's very violent. And performances. There's this actress, I gotta look up her name. She was so incredible. Joelle, will you look it up for me? Because I don't want to go deep in my phone. Strange Darling, the female lead. I guess someone said she
Willa
was
Fitzgerald?
on. Willa Fitzgerald. I personally have never seen her before, but man, is she a fucking incredible actress.
Right on.
Reacher. Someone told me she was on
Reacher?
Reacher. I never. Yeah. So I was excited for an actress who I know works. I don't mean to say she doesn't work, but had a lead in this movie that is like such a difficult part. And
she's a Yale graduate, so you know she good.
Yeah,
Oh,
you know she good. So we have an exciting guest, you guys. I was so fascinated with the show Jury Duty, like so many of you. I remember when I was watching it going, I have so many questions for this guy. I know James Marsden a little bit, so he gave me a little bit of tea. But we have Ronald Gladden, who was the fella that they did this whole show to on the show. So we can ask him all the questions.
5, 6, 7, 8.
Stories about a show we made about a bunch of docs and nurses and a janitor who loved to hate. I said, here's the stories that you all should know. So gather round to hear our Scrubs Rewatch show with Zach and Donald.
Yo!
Hello.
What's up, sir?
Well, hello. How we
There
doing?
he is. There
Well,
he is.
look how high quality his camera is, Zach.
Yeah.
Is he pixel for you?
No, he's pixel free on my end.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, wow.
Dude, welcome to the show. I'm obsessed with you. When I was watching the show, I had so many questions when I was watching the show. And I know Marsden a little bit, so I was texting him, but he was being very cryptic and not giving me all the tea. And I'm just so glad to finally meet you because I found the story just so incredibly unique.
Well, thank you guys for having me on here, first of all. And it's amazing to know that you even know who I am. Like, anytime that I get to meet and interact with people that I've seen on my TV since I was a middle schooler and a high schooler.
Fuck you, dude. You already fucked up, man.
You're making us sound old, Ronald. You're making us sound old.
Bro.
Hey, I'm saying that you guys are seasoned vets, all right? And I'm honored to be here. Like, it's great to meet you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice
I just
meet
want
you
to
too.
say the obvious thing that every fucking person who saw this in the world thought. You were the kindest, most patient human being ever. And I mean, have you always been, before we get into the nitty gritty, because I know Donald and I got lots of questions, have you always been like this? Would your friends and family say that like you are a very patient, kind, generous human being?
You know, I'm honestly really glad that that's how you open this up, because something that I've always tried to emphasize is that I have always been kind, but I haven't always been like this. Like, I've worked really hard to become the person that I am today. Like, I mean, in my younger years, if they would have cast for jury duty when I was 23, 24, 25, I can guarantee I would not have been chosen. I was a little bit of an asshole, you know, like I lived a much more selfish lifestyle. Like, I didn't think about other people and how my actions were going to affect them. And so, I don't know, something happened when I turned 25 and I just kind of grew up. I mean, everything else it felt like I was living a very childish life. And so I really worked hard to become the person that everybody saw on jury duty. So no, I would say I have not always been like this.
Well done, because I would have lost my shit several times. I would have requested, please, I don't, this is crazy. I would have been like, this is bizarro world. Yo, you guys are all nuts. But here's the one thing. When I saw Kurt Fox, that's where,
yeah,
because I know I would have been like, hey, wait a second. I know that guy.
Oh,
Kurt and I did we did a prank show with the same people who created punk back in the day. And that's how I met him. And so when I saw him on the show, I was like, wait a second. You got a lot of people. Clearly nobody watched the show that I was on, first of all.
Yeah, obviously.
Right. And I was like, that guy right there is a professional, and he's really good at freaking pranking people.
Yeah, no. So let's just go back to the very beginning. How did this come into your life? I mean, I read that you were looking for some work on Craigslist, like some part-time work.
Yeah. So what had happened was I moved to San Diego in 2019, and I've been in construction since I was 17. And so I didn't necessarily switch industries, but I was brand new to the solar world in general. So I kind of threw myself into that. I was a contractor, an independent contractor, doing just solar work for years. And I mean, I'm talking 12, 15-hour days. Like, I was like really grinding, trying to make it work. But I just burnt myself out essentially. And so one day I talked to my business partner. We reevaluated kind of what we wanted to do with our lives. We shut down shop. And then I was essentially just kind of looking for the next gig. And so I didn't have search preferences. I was just looking for just anything and everything. Because like I said, just was burnt out. I came across this. In my mind, this was a great way for me to get paid, to have an experience I'd never had. And then in my free time, I could still job search, not knowing they were going to take away
So
my
what did
technology.
it say? Sorry to interrupt you, but what did it say in the ad? Because, I mean, was there any question in your mind like, wait, are they allowed to make a documentary about a jury? Like, I think I would have said like, wow, that sounds interesting, but like, how are you legally allowed to make a documentary about a jury?
Yeah, so I definitely had questions like that, but man, the preparation for this show, literal years in the making. And so the way that they described it to me was that this was the judge's last case of his like 38-year trial, and that was the only reason he was allowing them to do it. They had tried before, they had never gotten access, but this judge was like, you know what, this is going to be my swan song, if you will. And so
you meant career. You said trial. His 38-year-old career. Yeah,
career.
And so that's how they presented it, where they were going to do a special doc on this judge, really.
More of like the jury process, but it was more of like, since the judge was like, hey, this is my last hurrah, I'll allow this.
I see.
Anybody could be picked for like, how did they, you're all just picked. We've already got the jury. He's allowed these people to come in.
Not necessarily. So you did have to go through the jury selection process. So there were some people that I was told that were there because they had signed up for the same thing that I did. And then other people were just summoned. So that's why everyone's like, I don't want to be here. How do I get out of here? Because those were like the people who were summoned.
Wow.
Amazing.
Man. Now, okay, so as I recall, you get into you're in the waiting room, and and you recognize Marsden, and you're really geeked out, and then you said something to him about, like, what was the thing that we said about Sonic? I forgot, but it was so funny.
I knew it. Look, I mean, like, I told him.
Didn't you kind of diss him about Sonic?
I told him very honestly, the reviews that I had heard, and that it was kind of a shit movie, you know?
Well, 4 movies later, and Jim Carrey and everything.
Look, I put my foot in my mouth. I admitted it. I watched it. It was a great movie. I've seen the other ones.
So funny. Now, these people that they cast were so funny, and it's all. I mean, I watched the ending episode where they showed how they did it. So it was all improvised, but they did have sort of a rough sketch of what was going to happen by when. Is that correct?
Yeah, essentially, the way that they told me was that they kind of had like a skeleton script where you had your main beats that you had to hit, and then whatever else happened in between, you just got to think on your feet. Okay,
so then Marsden, you go in the trial. Marsden, they have this story point where the paparazzi are stalking Marsden, and so they're going to need to sequester the jury. Now, I can't believe that you guys are down for this. I mean, I guess, and then in hindsight, they very cleverly said, we're going to separate you. And Marsden, because he's Marsden, has a special marshal that's going to go home with him, which is so bad shit crazy. But this enabled them to only have to pay and shoot and put up a couple people around you, right?
Correct. And I will say that's probably actually the only time that I got mad was like, because I knew that it was Marsden's fault, and they made it very, nothing that they did was subtle. They made it very obvious to me that he was the one who called the paparazzi. So I was pissed that he was the reason that I got taken from my other hotel, sequestered, and he wasn't even going to stay with us. I was a little bit irritated for sure.
Right. Now,
did you ever, you never wanted out? You never were like, just fuck it, I'm done.
Well, so one of the reasons that we did the daily video diary from myself, I thought everyone else was doing them too, was so that they could kind of gauge my mental health as well too, and where I was at and how I was doing. And if I'm sitting here on camera saying oh my God, I just want to get out of here, I'm going to walk out of this, they would have made adjustments. So it was more to gauge how I was doing every day.
Yeah, I mean, so they took your phone?
Everything. I had no access to the outside world. I could make phone calls if I wanted to that were being monitored by, a sheriff that was just part of the production crew.
Oh my God.
Anytime
you made a call, they told you a sheriff was on the line, and then they just had someone production make sure you weren't I think this is fake, right?
Well, they were in the room with me because they're wearing the sheriff's get up. It looks like they're the actual deputy. They've got something in their ear. God. So I'm told they're listening to my calls. I can't believe
this isn't illegal. I mean, I had this reaction, and I said this to Marsden, actually. I was like, don't you... First of all, it was amazing television, but what about the scruples of doing this to someone? I mean, I enjoyed it, and I'm glad that you're the kindest person in the world, but I kind of this is fucked up to do to somebody.
What was the name of, I'm sorry to cut you off, because I got to ask this really quick.
You don't want him to answer that. You're over that question.
No, I'm not, but it's because it's the same thing, and how Jim Carrey reacted to it. What was that movie?
Truman Show.
The Truman Show.
Didn't you feel, I mean, when watching that, I felt like I was watching that movie, at some point in your life, as Zach said, how do you not say, you guys fucking picked on me for fucking, essentially a whole show and made fun of me for a whole show?
Well, they didn't really make fun of him. I mean, he's made out to look like the kindest, coolest person in the world.
No doubt. But in doing so, they,
But let him go.
They tricked you. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No. I mean, honestly, both of you guys bring up great points, and I'm actually really glad that you brought up the Truman Show too, because the way I was describing it in the beginning to people was, I got Truman Showed. I'm Truman, essentially. And then that follow-up question always inevitably comes, well, then how did you handle it mentally? And the way that I can separate this for people is that Jim Carrey in the Truman Show, that was his whole life, 30 plus years. This was 3 weeks of my life. And so granted, that may seem like, a large amount of time to do something, but in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't a very long period. And I like to think I have a pretty good sense of humor. I pranked my siblings, my friends, relatives growing up all the time. So if anything, this is just karma. So that's kind of how I viewed it. Plus, it was a great experience.
It also looked like, as I recall, it's been a minute since I saw it, but it kind of looked like you were having fun. There's times where I'm sure where it was so funny watching your facial expressions, but it also looked like I've almost been selected for jury duty a couple times, and I'm always like, oh, please don't pick me. Please don't pick me. But there's a little part of me that's like, this would be kind of interesting, And was there a part of you that's like, this is crazy, but it's kind of interesting, right?
1,000%. Like when I agreed to do this, though, I knew that I was going to be on camera. It was my first time ever being on camera outside of, home videos we made growing up. So and plus I love documentaries. So to me, I was like, this is a great way to have a new experience. They're going to pay me some money for it. And then when I got sequestered, I wasn't happy about it. But again, it's just like, well, I'm here for an experience, and that's exactly what I'm getting.
Yeah. That's how I feel. Like if I ever got on a jury, I don't really, I'm always afraid because I almost got put on a murder trial, and I was like, and they were like,
this takes forever.
Yeah, and I was in the room. I remember I went down to, we live in LA, so I was down in the when you go to the LA downtown courthouse, there you go through security in the lobby, but if you get put on, I forgot what floor it is, let's say it's 5, you go through another round of security because that's the fucking murder floor. Ugh. And I went up there for jury selection for a trial, and I walk in and it's the fucking OJ room. It's the fucking thing we've seen on TV 1,000 times. It's that room. And I'm like, oh no, I can't get put on a murder trial. This is gonna be
no.
No, I was
the reaction says it all.
No, it was like the room. Like if you've ever watched we all remember OJ, but if you ever watched this room has been created in so many sets because it's like the murder trial room for LA County or whatever. And then they were like, just the judge is preparing everyone. He's just, this is a murder first degree trial. This could be up to 4 months of your life. I was like, oh no, I got to get out of here. But they didn't pick me, so I never had to.
Did you purposefully try to get?
No, my point.
Too, yeah.
Oh my God, what's crazy is anyone who's ever gone for jury duty, you won't believe the shit that people say to try and get out of this.
I shat my pants in jury duty today.
Well, so many people. It just takes so long, and you're rolling your eyes because you're like, there's so many people. There's plenty of people, obviously, who have good excuses. I have to take care of my children, or I'm a sole provider. All of those legitimate excuses. Lots of people in LA who don't speak English fluently. They need to be released because they're not going to be able to be a proper jurist. But then you get to the people that are just like spewing bullshit, and you're like, oh, come on. They're like
what type of bullshit I want to hear?
The most common thing is like, I hate cops and I can't judge cops fairly. And if there's cops testifying, I won't be able to listen to them. So don't pick me.
Some basic. Fuck the police.
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't get me wrong. I'm sure there's people that legit feel that way, but that was like a very common thing. And I was like, oh, come on.
It's the easy way out.
Yeah, it worked every time because the judge has to be calm, and he's like, so you're saying, obviously we will be having some detectives and some policemen testifying. Are you saying, juror number 5, that you will be unable to, listen to them and take in their testimony with an open mind? And the people's like, hell no, I hate cops, and they're like, you are dismissed.
Jeez.
Oh no. I feel like the person that tries to use that in the wrong situation is even funnier. Like,
I know what's funny is there's that sheriff that's in there, like the bailiff, and he's like staring at everyone like, oh great.
Let me take numbers down.
Another one was a lot of people, they have the right not to testify. Another common one, and this is just anecdotal from my experience. Anyone who's been through this, I'm sure you have crazy stories too. But another one was people being like, they were like, the judge was like, now the defendant does not have to testify. He is not obligated to testify. How will you feel if the defendant does not get on the stand to tell his or her side of the story?
I want to hear from the defendant.
Yeah, a lot of people were like, if I don't hear from the defendant, I think it's bullshit. I think he's hiding shit. I will not be able to fairly judge this case.
Look, that's actually valid. Like the cop thing, a little bit of a stretch, but that's valid. I would actually stand on and die on that hill. Like I
think it's fair to say, as I felt, I understand the legal process. I understand the right not to incriminate yourself. But yes, if you were accused and you don't testify, I think I would have trouble being like, well, why the hell not? If you're innocent, why wouldn't you get up there and be like, I didn't fucking do it?
Yep.
But I understand it all. I mean,
Oh, he's stripping down. Look at that. He's
sorry.
hot. Let's go.
Ronald, we should probably segue quickly to how has this affected your love life? Because you are a handsome man. The world used you as an example of being the kindest man they've ever seen. What were the DMs like, Ronald? What went down in the DMs?
It was wild. And I will say this too. I was never on social media very much to begin with. The only reason I even had an Instagram was it was for business related purposes. I didn't even create an Instagram until I moved to San Diego. And the only reason I did was because my mentor advised it. He's like, look, you can get a lot of business from social media, blah, blah, blah. So having not really been on it all, and then the whirlwind that my life became, I'm not exaggerating when I tell you that there are tens of thousands of messages that I've never even seen. Like I have no interest in going back that far and looking at this point, but it all happens so fast and so quickly. On average, because I sat down with Instagram's team, I gained 50,000 followers per month for 6 months.
Wow.
50,000 followers a month for 6 months?
For 6 months, yeah. After
Instagram called him into the office, Donald. They were like, bring him in. Bring him in.
They said, this is our influencer program. What you going to do?
Yeah. So are you doing I saw that you got an Amazon deal. Congratulations. That's incredible. And I'm not surprised because you are so likable and charming, and I'm sure that they were like, let's find something for you to do because people really, really responded to you. Would that be something as an actor? Would it be hosting a show?
That's what I was gonna say. I'm surprised you didn't become you're not an actor, man. You were part of the biggest improvisational experiment in the last 10 years. So what's up, bro?
I know, but I also feel like you could be a great if it wasn't that, I feel like you'd be a good host of a show or something. I don't know what's happening. Is it top secret or can you talk about it?
No, you guys are right on the money there. So we're exploring different shows where I'm hosting, I'm doing improv. So I'm really heavily leaning into that. I've auditioned for some things and I am taking acting classes, but I just don't think that I'm an actor. I was never passionate about it then, like I'm not passionate about it now. Improv is kind of the world I'm really leaning into. And a lot of the feedback I've gotten from people in the improv world who watch the show was they're like, you already live the yes and lifestyle, so why not lean into it? And I mean, I realize that that's so true. So if I'm going to be an actor, it would be an improv actor, if anything.
Yeah, I mean, I would encourage you moved to LA, I assume.
Correct.
Yeah, I would be taking lots of improv classes because you're in a city that has some of the best troops in the world, and I would lean in, and people are going to love you because they know who you are, and I mean, weren't all of those cast members improv people?
Well, I know Kurt 100%. Was.
Yeah, so I've actually been doing shows with UCB. My girlfriend actually just went through the Groundlings program, and now she's taking UCB's program. She just did like a stand-up class. So like I'm definitely entertaining these avenues, and it's just a matter of finding the right vehicle. We're working. It's too early to give concrete details because we had to wait for David Bernard to finish filming White Lotus 3. Now that he's back, we're kind of working on some stuff. But we're trying to kick it off.
I root for you, man. I feel like I would watch that. By the way, one of the funniest, hardest parts I laughed is the influencer woman who got on the stage. I just saw her. Do you remember her, Donald? She talks about how she runs social media and she's an influencer, but she's also a nail tech and she does social media for her dog. And she had this run. I'd never seen her before. I've since seen her in an improv troupe. And
Lisa Gilroy.
Thank you, Lisa Gilroy. I want to give her a shout out.
Absolutely.
She came in and just did one improvised monologue in the witness box, and I thought that was one of the funniest things I saw on TV the whole year. And I had never seen her. And then since my friend brought me to see a great improv troupe at Largo, and she was one of the gals, and she was fucking hilarious.
So I was blessed enough to actually be a part of one of her shows.
You should train with her, yeah, because that troupe that she's with. Do you know their name?
I don't know. Does she have the same troupe? Because I met a few people.
Will you look that up for me? I want to see if you can find the name of her troupe because it's got some other celebrities in it. I think Rob Corddry maybe, but that troupe. If you ever get a chance to see them in LA, I know they perform all over. It was one of the funniest things I've ever seen because I've never really seen too much A-list improv troupes. I've been to ones where you're like, okay,
the Sketchersons.
That doesn't sound right.
The one I did with her was Lisa Gilroy and Friends, but that's what I'm saying. I don't know if they keep the same friends every time. I don't really know how that works.
No, I know this one. Rob Riggle was in it, Joel.
That's a fucking deep troop right there, bro.
No, I'm telling you, it was like the A-list troop. I mean, they were doing like Largo Saturday night at 8. It was like the key spot.
There are a couple of troops that are like that. Like Phil Lamar's troop is pretty fucking dope too.
Dinosaur?
Yes, I think it was called Dinosaur. That sounds right. Who is, oh my God, wait, we have to talk about the soaking thing because this is the funniest fucking thing. Did you make it to that? Did you see that part, Donald?
I did not.
Okay, so basically, Ron, you go by Ronald or Ron?
Ronald, thank you for asking.
Ronald, please correct me if I get any of this wrong. In the Mormon world, some people allegedly get around the fact that they're not supposed to be having premarital sex by having someone the man put his penis in the vagina, but they don't move. That doesn't, because they're not having sex. And then they have a friend jump on the bed. So they're not technically causing the movement. Is this correct, Ronald?
You nailed it. Honestly, when it was pitched to me,
Donald, you never heard of that? It's called soaking.
Real time. That was the first time I had heard of it too, and that's why I was like, I think I'm good on this one.
And they ask Ronald if he will facilitate for them and be the jumper.
And jumper.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's what I said in a polite manner, but that's exactly what I said too.
Please no. No, thank you.
Were you at all curious? I mean, I wouldn't want to be the jumper either, but was there a part of you that's like, wow.
Oh, what would you prefer to be in this situation?
No, I'm not. I don't want to be. He was asked to be the jumper, and I just think it would have been so. I'm sure I would have said no too, but a part of me would have been like, wow, what a life experience. These two Mormon people. Actually, only one's a Mormon, right? Only one's a Mormon.
Look, I was happy to facilitate everything up until that point.
Yeah, that's the only thing you said no to.
I was like, I'm all about helping my buddies out, like whatever. I was like, but to that point, I was like, you guys could figure it out from there, like you shouldn't need a third wheel in the room.
The funniest part was,
are Mormons allowed to have oral sex before?
Well, Ronald's not a specialist in Mormon sex, dude. Joel can Google it for us.
Yeah, I was going to say Google that.
Would you be behind the head, like put back?
Joel, can you?
Do
Google?
We look like
my poor Google search?
Can you just ask what? I would imagine. My guess is Mormons are not allowed to have premarital sex, and
not oral sex. But what about premarital?
Joel, can you look
sex?
up whether oral sex
and does butt stuff count? And does
Joel, can you look up if butt stuff counts, please?
Oh my God!
Yeah,
okay.
Real quick.
These are valid questions because you don't want to piss off God.
No, I don't want to. I want to get it right. I don't want to. I want to make sure we know. And what about butt soaking? Is that permitted?
I'm drawing the line of butt soaking.
R.I.P. to Joel's Google.
Google search.
All right, wait. While Joel does the recon. The other funny thing was the giant shit that Marsden took in your bathroom. How did they get a fake shit in there?
That one was tough. So the way they got that one in there was because that was when I went down to help Wingman initially. That's why I said up until the soaking, I was happy to help out a buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. You were wingmanning. Yeah, you were wingmanning.
I'm happy to wingman for him. I wanted to see him get laid. I'm not going to lie on that one.
You wanted to?
Yeah, because he was being such a good wingman up until they asked him to be the jumper on the soaking.
Now you got to jump on that bed.
But then he goes back up to his room and explain to people who forgot what happened.
So when I went down there to wingman for him and then, handed him off, thought everything was fine and dandy. I was down there for a little bit. I go back up there and James is trying to play it off like he was just peeing the whole time. And so I walk in there and immediately the smell hits me. Like immediately. I'm just like, oh God, I'm kind of looking around and he's like, yeah, man. He's like, I was trying to go in there. He's like, but I couldn't really. There was like, the toilet was like clogged. And I was like, well, I know it wasn't clogged when I left. So I opened the door and just, a massive shit. It's a prop, obviously, but it's huge.
Oh, it was fake?
It was.
But how does it smell? How can it smell?
So what they did was they used like a stink spray. And the reason that it was overwhelming was because James sprayed a little bit of it and then didn't smell it. So he's like, well, let me spray some more. But it was just like a delayed thing. And then it all just hit at once. And he's like, oh my God, this is brutal.
And it really smelled like shit?
It was more like almost like because I'm from the country in Oregon. It almost was like a manure, like a farm animal smell. That's why I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Then the plumber comes up, right? The handyman, and James asks you to say it was your shit.
Yeah, he wanted me to take the blame because when he pictured, he's like, I don't want like TMZ to get a hold of this and be like, oh, James giant shit. And to be fair, the vain character that James was playing, that tracks. 100%.
That definitely tracks. Yeah.
Yep. Can't have bad media, you know.
James was so fucking funny. I mean, I loved everything he did. He made me laugh so much. I mean, I'm so happy that he said yes to it because this was such a low budget thing on Freevee. I mean, like I didn't. No one knew what Freevee was, and I just thought that. I was so stoked that James did it because no one could have done that funnier job than he did.
Well, I was just going to say, like, that added to the realism of it, too, because in my mind, I know who James is, and I'm a big fan. I'm like, this is a guy...
Except for Sonic, dude. Except for Sonic.
That's true, yeah. But he's been doing this, since X-Men, like 30-plus years he's been in the game. So in my mind, I'm like, why would somebody... Oh, yeah, before X-Men even, too. But in my mind, I'm thinking, like, why would somebody who has such this illustrious career, like, drag their own name through the dirt? He knew he was being filmed, and he was acting like a jackass. So I was like, this has to just be who he is.
Do you want an answer to the oral sex question?
Yes, let's go back to
oral sex. It's vague, but mostly forbidden before marriage. Church's law of chastity states that sexual relations are only proper between a legally married husband and wife. However, some say that having and enjoying sex within marriage is aligned with the faith theology.
Right, we need the obvious. You can't be having sex.
So you can't do butt sex.
No butt soaking. Yeah, no.
So I think the idea behind soaking was that it was a workaround because the participants who do soaking say, "Well, we're not having sex. I'm soaking inside of you, and it's not my fault that James Marsden is jumping on the bed."
Yeah, it's like an outside force. Imagine that you're inside
like there's an earthquake.
Lady. Yeah, and there's an earthquake. Yeah, and it just so happens that there's movement.
Yeah, but what happens when the movement causes?
Yeah, well, that's an extra problem. Then the person who's jumping is too good.
Slower jumps.
You gotta blame James. James, fuck you, man. You made me freaking.
I was once having sex back in 2000, and it was my girlfriend at the time, and we were having beautiful sex, and it was really getting rigorous, and all of a sudden we turned to each other and we're like, wait a minute, and we both stopped. We're like, that's not us. It was a fucking major earthquake, and the whole fucking room was moving.
Damn, that's impressive. LA, I'm assuming?
Yeah, we both jumped up and looked outside the window, and the pool next door was like fucking swaying back and forth. It was crazy.
Why didn't you just ride it out, bro?
Yeah, right. That's what I was thinking too.
Why didn't you just ride it out?
Well, I didn't need.
Why did you just soak?
I didn't need God to act as the jumper. We were fine.
I think God would think differently on that situation.
Yeah, God was like, y'all are fucking killing it. Let me help. I wanted to ask you, so in the end, they give you, I thought that was really sweet the way they ended it. And they give, first of all, Alan Barinholtz was a real judge.
Correct.
And he's Ike Barinholtz's father. But I thought that Alan did a fantastic job as someone who's not a trained actor.
Well, funnily enough, and I'm very glad you brought this up, what a lot of people don't realize is that he actually did, Alan's career passion was to be an actor. But once he had a family, because he went to school for it initially, but once he had a family, he put his dreams to the side. He got a stable career. He raised his family. And then when this opportunity was presented to him, he viewed it as like hey, this is a way for me to pursue my dream now.
It reminds me of my father, because my father always wanted to be an actor, and he loved the theater, and he became a successful trial attorney. But he would do community theater as his hobby. And so it's funny. It's interesting. That reminded me of my dad. I thought he was beautiful, and I thought the end, the way he talked to you, the things he said about you I found it very moving. And then you get 100,000. I mean, not only do you get your mind blown because they revealed to you what happened, but you get $100,000, which must have been a nice surprise.
1,000%. And I will say too, people kept repeating that to me on the day of the reveal. And they're like, just so you know, that money's real. That check's going to cash. That's real. But I was so caught up in just trying to process like everything that they were telling me that like the money was the last thing I could focus on. It was more of like, you could just strip my world down and I need to like build it back up.
Yeah, of course. You might run into total shock. I mean, that's such a mind fuck.
Right away, you automatically go into what the fuck did I say? What the fuck did I say? What the fuck did I say? What did I do? 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 Okay, yeah, we're good. We're good. 100,000, really? Wow.
I think a lot of the time people responded to you is just because there's so much negativity in society. We look for kindness. And I just think you represented such kindness. A friend of mine told me just yesterday, and I didn't know this about her, but that she has an extreme fear of flying. And she's a really bad flyer. And she told me, I cannot tell you the amazing stories I've had over the course of my life where something happens, turbulence, and I reach out and I grab the hand of a stranger next to me and how kind they are. She said, invariably, they hold my hand and they tell me about their kids, or they distract me, or they rub my back. And she said, of all stripes and colors of human beings. And it just made me feel so warm in my heart. And I think that's why so many people responded to you, because even though this was a comedy and it was a crazy thing, you really just represented such kindness.
Honestly, I'm glad that that's like the message that people took away from this too, because you know, having lived a really like selfish, just kind of like an asshole lifestyle when I was younger, like I really do want to just I want to be the change that I would like to see in the world. And so that means leading by example. And so throughout the course of the show, like I did what I thought was right the entire time, whether the cameras were around or not. Like all I'm trying to do is just be that change. And if we don't lead by example, I mean, talk is cheap. We all know that. So truthfully, all I'm trying to do is just try to live a lifestyle that's going to just promote helping other people. You got to give people a chance, you know, like if you come into it with preconceived notions, you already lose. Like for example, the character Todd, I found out on day 2 or 3 that he was a convicted felon who recently had his rights restored. Not only did he stay in the same hotel as me, but he was right across the door from me. He was the very next room. In the 3 weeks I spent with him, I never once asked him what his felony conviction was for, because I didn't care. I gave him an opportunity. I talked to him. I gave him a chance just to learn who he was, you know?
That was incredible. What about when the older Asian man teaches you the game, and then how much are you supposed to? He's supposed to give you $25,000 or something?
It was like, no, I don't think it was that much. I think it was only like, I shouldn't say only because he owned Gumball machines, so it's a lot of money. It was like $2,000, something like that. But again, like his story was that he owned like 2 Gumball machines and like a sticker machine. And so I was like, this guy's not rolling.
That was so funny. He was like, he teaches him the game, and it's a real game, obviously, right?
Yeah, correct.
The
rules made up real game.
It's a real game, but he made up the rules?
He made up like the gambling rules.
Okay, got it.
He kind of taught me the real thing, but there was a lot that was just
okay. So then you win, and he's like, "Oh my god, I owe you $2,000." And you were like, "I don't want your money. I don't want your money." He's like, "No, it's my pride. I have to give you the $2,000." Yeah. That guy was great. Is he an improv guy too?
He is. Yeah. He came from, I believe it was Second City, actually.
Wow. Oh my God. Do you ever look back and be like, what if they went different with it? Like, what if I responded different? How would they have adjusted? Do you ever think about the possibilities? Like, there's a whole multiverse of what could have happened in just this whole 3 months.
I think about it all the time, honestly, still to this day too. And that's why I try to emphasize like the preparation that went into this was years in the making, because not only did they have like their skeleton script and like, here are the beats that we hit, but it's like, here's the beats that we hit. Here's A, B, and C. If he reacts this way, or this way. And then we just try to just go with it from there.
What an exciting thing to work on. I mean, from a production point of view, one of the things I really appreciated in the finale was that they showed you behind the scenes how they pulled it off. I thought that was really, I mean, from someone who's in production, if you haven't seen Jury Duty, obviously I can't recommend it more highly. and in the
If you
finale,
haven't seen it, you've been sleeping under a rock for a
Yeah,
month. You haven't even seen one episode.
even though,
where
by the way,
have you been?
the episodes are so short; they're 20 minutes long, and I wish that I ended up wishing it was more because it's so entertaining. It'd be kind of impossible for them to pull this off again, don't you think?
I mean, especially given the success of the show, I would agree. Maybe give it some time, and once it dies down, I mean, it was such a success. So, like, how do you not try it again?
I know, but I think maybe you can't do jury. You could do like an office. You could do like an office, like you've just been hired at a new job.
Yeah,
right.
Like an intern, or I don't know. I'm sure there's a workaround, but again. Like you
could probably really get away with it with an office, and you say it's the #1 show in the world right now, right? That's probably the way to go.
Yeah, I think if you did like, hey, you're the new hire, and it doesn't have to be an office like the show The Office. It could be like a tire company, or it could be a fucking grocery store. I don't know. There's got to be another way in, but I really really enjoyed it.
I mean, I'm sure there is, but I mean, like, I never would have thought they could have pulled it off in the first place, so I'm probably the wrong person to ask for a sequel.
Well, it worked on you, Ronald.
The other thing I love about the story is it's one of those examples, like, no disrespect to Freevee, but I had never heard of Freevee. So think how many fucking streamers and people passed on this show for it to end up on Freevee, and then it becomes one of the most viral shows of the year. And it's all anyone's talking about. And I just always think I love when that happens. It's like no one knows anything. No one knows what's going to work. And everyone had to have passed on this for it to be on Freevee. And then it's all anyone's talking about.
Yeah, I got to give a huge shout out to Lauren Anderson. She is the one who finally picked it up. Because like you said, David Burnett told me they shopped it all around town and everybody passed on it. And Lauren Anderson saw the vision. She's like, I'm willing to take a risk on this. So huge shout out to her for even giving the show a chance.
Yeah, dude, thank you so much. You have a fan in me. Whatever you end up doing, please keep being you. Don't let this town fuck you up because you're a good soul. And whatever you end up doing in any capacity, whether it's improv or hosting a show, whatever, I'll be there watching you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
and
I root
honestly,
for you, bro.
you guys, I'm huge fans of you. Seriously. Like, I don't want to date you or anything, but like, seriously, like the fact that I watched you guys in high school on my TV and I'm here right now, like it's fucking a dream come true. It's really cool.
Zach, you said he was a nice guy. You said it and then he did it again.
You have to stop. You have to stop having a sad when people say they watched us in high school.
I'm 50, Zach.
He's old.
I can stretch.
You wear it well,
I can
man.
kick. I can boogie.
You better.
Don't pull something now, man.
Yeah,
I did. I just heard. I kind of did.
He's bending over. All right. Thanks, brother. Great to have you.
Can I ask Ronald a question before he goes?
Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah.
Have you been called for real jury duty since you've been on the show?
So, funnily enough, 2 weeks after the finale premiered, I got my first one. I got 3 in total, but because I was doing the press tour and I was in New York, I was in Austin, we were at the ATX Festival, I was constantly had to postpone it, and then I moved to LA. Thank God have not gotten one since I moved up here. But 3 times in San Diego County after it aired.
Wow.
Well, when you get on a jury finally, make sure to say that you think that the defendant must testify. And
and that you hate cops. And that you hate cops.
don't.
Fuck the police, man. That's actually wild, though. I believe that's so common.
Anyone who's been on a jury or anyone who's been through what do they call it? Voir dire, voir
dire, something like that.
Voir dire. That's the term for jury selection. Knows that there are a whole lot of people that come up with some pretty crazy excuses. And also, we should say, what's your Instagram so people can follow you?
Oh, it's SunnyG_SD.
What?
Hell yeah.
So, because my last name is Gladden.
That's horrible.
I love it, dude. I've told you, maybe I didn't tell you guys this, but I fucking do not like LA. I moved to San Diego and I had to move up here because of the show. LA is not for me.
LA is not for most people, dude. You don't have to live here. But
like I said, I made the Instagram when I lived in San Diego,
I know, but I just want people to find you, and it's kind of tricky. Semi-G, spell it for everybody.
Sunny G. Like, Sunny D, but Sunny G.
So SUNNYG
_SD.
underscore SD. Good luck
Sonny
finding that.
G. San Diego.
That's why that sounds like Donald Eazon because he was so high he
It's not
mistyped
Eazon, it's just Azon, fucker.
You
Get it right
mistyped.
now.
He
And
was
I
so
wasn't,
stoned.
and I wasn't high, I was drunk.
Oh, sorry. He was so drunk when creating his Instagram handle that he mistyped the F and put an underscore. So he's
Actually,
Donald
that's-
underscore Azon.
I was literally, it looked like I was.
I feel like
I
that's
love
something you could have rectified in these years.
Once it's done, it's done.
Dude, thank you so much.
You're the
Instagram's
best.
team literally told me that too. They're like, you should probably change. I said, I'm not touching that.
All right.
Yeah. Once it's done,
All
it's
right.
done. You want to talk about fame corrupting the young? He's been corrupt. No, I'm just kidding. What a freaking nice young man.
I love that guy. I want to be his friend. I want to hang
Yeah,
out with him.
man.
Yeah,
He's so
rules.
nice.
Wow.
He's so nice.
I would not be nice after that.
I love that he's so
think
nice.
I might
I
be a
love that
little
he's
cynic.
so. I love that he's so nice. He's like, I gotta get the fuck out of LA. This is just
Yeah.
not for me. I'll be in San Diego.
You think he's hitting the clubs and stuff?
I saw him out and about one night at San Vicente Bungalows. He was out.
Oh, really?
Oh shit.
okay.
Okay.
He was out. I was like, okay, Ronald.
Okay, Ronald. I see
Okay,
you.
Ronald.
Okay,
I
Ron.
see you, Ronald.
But he was wearing those shorts. You know those shorts we all used to wear that kind of go down to your shins.
Okay, Ronald.
Capris.
They weren't capris, but they were like long
Jams.
They were kind of like jams.
You know you old if you know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Yeah, you got only old people know what jams are, Donald. Dude, remember when jams? You had to have the right
I had
jams.
if your jams wasn't jamming.
Hell are jams?
I feel bad that so much of our audience doesn't know what
They're like,
jams
what
are.
the fuck?
They
is
were
a jam?
they were a brand of short when we. How old were we, Donald? Like in our teens?
In the early teens too, like
Uh,
12, 13.
it was such a
Oh,
craze.
hell
and
yes. These iconic 90s shorts. I didn't know they were called
Yeah.
jams.
Mhm.
You had to
fashionable.
have the jams. You had to have the jams. Just like if you were. just at-
Jam.
what year was it when you had to have
Oh,
the?
yeah.
Do you remember Cavaricci's?
Yeah. Do you remember Jabot?
Wait, do you remember Cavaricci's for real?
No, I don't remember. I remember Jabot.
Cavaricci's were a kind of pant that if you were in North Jersey, and you, especially if you were Italian in North Jersey, you were wearing Cavaricci's.
Listen, Jabot was from
And you were wearing
Junior
Dracar
high
Noir.
school.
Remember Dracar Noir? You were
Dracar,
dousing
oh my
you
God.
were dousing yourself in Dracar Noir.
yeah. Or Cool Water Cologne.
What a
Oh my
show. What a
gosh.
great guy.
Good dude.
Yeah, he ruled.
All right.
I don't know, man. I don't think I would have been able to take it, but that's just me.
Yeah. Well, that's
You
what
guys
makes
know
him
how
so-
I hate confrontation.
Yeah. But he handled it with such grace. If you haven't watched it, I really recommend it. It's so special. I don't really think they can recreate it. I don't see how you could do it again.
Well, they didn't think they could do Tiger King again, but here comes Chimp.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So
Yeah, Sacha Baron Cohen done fucking Ali G and
Right,
he did
but
Ali
Sacha
G,
Baron
he did.
Right, but
Yeah, I
Sacha
think-
Baron Cohen was disguising himself. I guess that's kind of analogous. I don't know. Well,
I
they
think
couldn't
they
do
could do it
jury
again.
duty. They
they could not do jury duty.
They
No,
would
you're
do a
right. They
different
couldn't. Yeah,
premise.
they'd
They could do a
have to
different
be
premise.
But look, there are people out there who haven't seen the show Jury Duty, and they
That's
could
true.
do it. Let's keep it 100. There are a
I
lot
miss
of people.
Ali G. I'm so sad that Ali G can't do his thing anymore. Those old episodes are so funny. The Ali G show.
Did you like Borat?
I loved it all.
Did you like Bruno?
I loved Bruno. But the Ali G, the OG Ali G show where he would do all three
I used to love
characters.
it. I used to love that show too.
I missed that.
Booyakasha! You heard it here straight from Buzz Lightyear himself. Oh my God!
Yeah.
When
Some
he
of
called
those-
Buzz Aldrin Buzz
him-
Lightyear.
him sitting. I remember when he was Bruno, he was interviewing some like mega anti-gay guy. And he's like,
Oh, it's the karate guy.
he goes, no, this is a guy. No, this guy was just like a very anti-gay Christian right-wing person of some sort. And he was like, and Bruno sits down and he goes, so how long have you been straight? and the guy's like, I've never been a homosexual. Are you kidding me? I'm straight. And he goes, so you're telling me if Freddie Prinze Jr. walked in here on all fours, you wouldn't want to take a walk on the brown side?
Every time, man.
All right. We love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. 5, 6, 7, 8.
Some stories about a show we made about a bunch of docs and nurses and